Welcome to season 2 of the Energy Upgrade podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa, master biohacker and successful entrepreneur. In season 1 of the Energy Upgrade, you got to have a taste for my obsession in all things health, energy, entrepreneurship, spirituality, and biohacking, or how to take radical responsibility in living a life by design. As a certified health coach, integrated health practitioner, kinesiologist, and seasoned entrepreneur who built and sold a 7-figure business, I want to dive deeper in this season 2. After healing myself from burnout, from my health falling apart, my hormones leaving my body, I'm here to share everything I wish someone had told me. Every day, I have the incredible opportunity to be mentoring women and supporting them in becoming true magnetic energy bombs. I'm helping them remember who they were all along. It's so powerful that I want to take you in on the journey, almost as if you were a fly on the wall. You'll find that I'm not your typical health coach, and I'm not your typical business coach either. I'm somewhere in between with a lot of spirituality sprinkled in there. This podcast is a sacred place where I come and share with you things that will bring you a high return on investment, because yes, I'm all about ROI. Life goes fast, and if I can show you a shortcut or two, I'll have succeeded at bringing you value. Thank you for being here. Let's go.
Your time is now. Your energy is your life force. You want to be able to magnetize your wellness dreams. A liver detox is the fastest way to start healing. You can and you will.
Welcome back to another episode of the Energy Upgrade. This is Vanessa Grutman, your host. Today I'm coming to you with a solo episode to talk about perimenopause. Or basically when we start having hormone dysregulation and we start wondering, what the heck, am I getting old? What's happening? So this is something that most of my clients deal with, but I'm coming here today to share with you some secrets that nobody talks about really. Things that you should be looking for the minute you start seeing your cycle getting wonky or some like weird symptoms starting to happen. Now, this is also your reminder that on this podcast, I'm not here to heal, treat, cure, diagnose any disease. I'm really here to talk about symptoms and how we can best manage them. And so, of course, anything that has to do with hormones is fairly complicated. So I'm going to dummy this down for today's purpose, for this conversation. And I'm going to try to keep it very to the point, because I've come to realize there's basically 3 things that are top of mind for me when I start seeing one of my clients going through perimenopausal symptoms. And what could these symptoms be? Essentially, when you're starting to see something weird with your cycle, either it's getting longer, so more than 28 to 30 days, or it's getting shorter. The other thing that might happen is you might skip a month, you might skip 2 months, 3 months. Essentially, just know that you are not considered menopaused until for as long as you haven't if you've had cycles in the last year, the last 12-month period, you are not officially menopausal. You're only menopause once you've had no cycle for a full, complete year. So you've missed 12 cycles. Some of the symptoms, it's first of all, your cycle is really kind of your lifeline. It's going to tell you exactly. It's such a great reflection of what's happening in the body. Do we have inflammation? Do we have something that we need to look at? Because remember, hormone dysregulation is actually not the root cause. It's a symptom, believe it or not. So I love to look at the root cause. Why do we have our hormones acting up? And, for women listening, you may have experienced skipping a cycle, strong PMS symptoms, maybe a month. And then the next month, everything came back into place. And you're like, oh, that was weird. And maybe you even had night sweats and like insane mood swings. And then the next month, everything is okay. So that's because hormone dysregulation is a symptom of something else that is going on underneath. And if you are new to this podcast, I do invite you to go back to the very, very first episode where I talk about the rain barrel effect, which basically explains how these symptoms are not the root cause and how we have to empty our rain barrel in order to reduce inflammation in the body, give our body more bandwidth to heal on its own and be able to bounce back. So I won't go there today, but it's kind of what we're going to be talking about. So when we start seeing, maybe we have night sweats, maybe we have, we're just feeling like puffier, we're just feeling like maybe we were having a hard time losing weight. Our mood is all over the map. Maybe we start having PMS symptoms not only before a period, but around ovulation time, so mid-cycle, day 14-ish. Maybe also we start having like intense breast tenderness right before. So there's stuff happening and we're not too sure where it's coming from. So these are the three things I start looking at usually. And you're not going to be surprised to hear this, I'm sure, especially if you've been listening to this podcast for a while. So the first thing I always look at, believe it or not, is your liver. How how congested is your liver? We need to give it some attention. Why? Because, so let's take estrogen, for example. So estrogen is made primarily by your ovaries. It will go through your body, through your uterus, your breasts, your other organs, until it reaches your liver. And that's where it gets inactivated and it gets moved into your your intestine, so that your body is able to move out the inactive form of estrogen, which sometimes we hear the dirty estrogen, which has been linked. That is the estrogen that has been linked to increased breast cancer rate. Now, why are we having issues and why are we seeing so many breast cancers going up? Of course, there's many reasons, but one of them is our livers are so congested that it's not able to do a good job at actually moving this out of the body. Because when the estrogen is inactive at that point, it kind of becomes a toxin. And if it keeps recirculating in the body, that's when it creates inflammation. It's not supposed to be there. And so we need to look at our liver first and foremost. Is it able to do its very basic job? I mean, the liver is just such a powerhouse. It does so many things, but one of the most important things for is that hormone recycling. I always say the liver is like your garbage truck, right? And if it's full and we keep dumping more garbage in it, well, guess what happens? You start feeling sluggish. You're not able to lose weight. You're starting to be really anxious, really mad, angry at people. You're basically not yourself anymore. And so the mere fact of paying attention to our liver health by doing something as simple as a liver detox, we are giving our body a fighting chance to actually be able to balance itself on its own. And so if I have a woman that comes and works with me and she tells me, oh my gosh, my cycle, I have night sweats, it's all over the map, we start there, guaranteed. So liver detox. And usually if the symptoms are pretty strong, I will go with 21 days. We'll do 3 weeks of this 7-day protocol. We'll do it for 3 consecutive weeks. Now, remember, we only want to do this 3 weeks protocol once a year because it does cause stress on the body. So we don't want to do this all the time. We do it once a year. It's almost like pressing the reset button. And then the body's going to be able to just flush all this inactive stuff, all the hormones, all the toxins, all the things that are not supposed to be in the body. And then just give it some breathing space and breathing room. So that's the first place I look at if someone comes to me with symptoms like that. And that is, my friends, before even talking about considering bioidentical hormones, because can you imagine if we know we have a congested liver and we're adding bioidentical hormones? Now, it might be a good idea if you're really struggling. But the truth is, again, remember, if we are congested at the bottom of the funnel, even if we keep dumping more at the top, the truth is, if the body's not able to move out what's not supposed to be there, we're not going to feel better. And I see this all the time, women that will be that, I've been put on all these bioidentical hormones and I don't feel any different. Like, am I taking this for nothing? Because it's costing me an arm and a leg. What the heck? And usually it's because we have been treating the hormone imbalance as a cause, but it's not. So we just have to keep digging. We just have to keep looking, okay, what's underneath this? And so liver detox is so, so, so important. I can't stress it enough. If you're new to my universe, buckle up. You're going to hear this almost in every episode. But, if there's one thing I know for sure is when I experienced this, when I was at I was on the floor, literally burnt out. My hormones had all left my body. Everybody was telling me I was in perimenopause. I was like 36. And I'm like, what the heck? This cannot be. And I started doing this liver detox protocol, and then just, my body just returned like slowly. It started just coming back to normal. And so I promised myself I would share this with as many women as possible because, geez, it's just such a game changer. So we're looking at our liver. Now, the second thing, which is going to be linked to the third thing, is we need to look at our gut. Now, I know you're going to be like, oh, seriously, the gut again? Yes, because it's so interesting. Again, nobody talks about this, but the hormones are being manufactured in your gut. In fact, it's considered your body's largest endocrine organ. Like I don't know, did you learn that in school? I didn't. Maybe I slept through it, but I don't think I did, just basing it on how clueless the women I work with are. And this is I'm not saying this in a bad way. I'm just saying, gosh, like, why are we not taught these things? This is so important. So to have our hormones being produced, there's a full cascade. And interestingly, at the very top of that cascade is vitamin B5. Vitamin B5 transfers into cholesterol. Okay, no, cholesterol is not all bad. Then it starts separating into all our hormones. It'll go into DHEA, and then it'll split up. On one side you'll have progesterone, which will then transfer into cortisol, and then the other side we are like the DHEA is going to split up into our sex hormones, which are estrogen and testosterone. Of course, please, and if there's any hormone specialists listening to this, remember, I'm just dumbing this right down because really there's no point in knowing all the, if you're not working in this, there's no way to know all the other stuff. It's not relevant. What's relevant to know is at the top of that cascade is vitamin B5. What does that mean? Is, well, those vitamin Bs are manufactured in the gut. And so if there's something imbalanced, if your microbiome is if it's basically World War III in your gut, which is for most people, we're going to have an issue. We're going to have an issue producing that vitamin B5. And then, well, that's at the very top of the hormone cascade. So we're going to have issues then producing hormones altogether. And what's interesting, which I also see, is often what happens is we're going to see our cholesterol go up at that time because the body is so desperately trying to get those the fat that it needs to create those hormones that I see this with especially people that have really high cholesterol. So cholesterol, remember, is linked to progesterone, and then so you have the B5, the cholesterol. Again, remember, I'm skipping some steps, but telling you the most important ones. So if your body is always pulling, always needing cholesterol, which is your stress hormone, it's your energy. So if your body's always pulling on that, it's going to empty your reserves of progesterone. First thing you're going to start noticing is, gosh, your sleep is not great. You're going to have a hard time falling asleep, or you're going to just wake up a gazillion times through the night. And it's just going to be there's not going to be any rhyme or reason. Even if you take your magnesium, even if you do all the things, you're still not going to be able to sleep well. And that's because progesterone is sort of your happy, chill hormone, and it's there to support you, especially at night. So Now, if the progesterone is empty, like the body's like, I need more cortisol at the bottom. Like this is the end product that I need the most because that is what's giving me energy. It's what's waking me up in the morning. I need cortisol. So the body is going to be like, oh my gosh, we need more cholesterol. We need more of this. We need more of this. We're not producing enough. And sometimes I see with women that run with a very high cortisol level, so stress all the time. And especially if you have that second wind at night, you're asking even more cortisol at night. Then I'll see women that will have a high cholesterol on their blood test. And interestingly is we can totally fix that. Like usually within a few months, we can fix that back to normal. As soon as we start rebalancing this whole cascade by actually looking at our liver and our gut, we can start seeing things shift. It's so incredible how the body always wants to be in this state of balance. It always makes me like, I'm always in awe when I see lab results coming back and I'm like, holy cow, it's done it again. And sometimes it's going to take longer. So, if you've been trying this for a while and you're feeling discouraged, don't be. Keep trusting. But again, just be really mindful. I always say, do the detective work for your own body. Why? So what is happening in my gut? Do I have something I need to start considering? Remember, there's so much stuff that can happen in the guts, starting from, a yeast overgrowth, candida overgrowth. Maybe we have something like leaky gut but again, leaky gut, or maybe we have, there's so many different things that we could have in the gut. But for example, leaky gut, which is kind of a trendy label now that doctors are just slapping on people. But leaky gut, again, is not a root cause. Like, why do we get to have a leaky gut? Why would the gut lining start to, have holes in it? And why would food particles start moving into the bloodstream? Why would this happen? It's usually we have either internal stress in the body created either by a virus, by a bacteria, by an overgrowth of yeast that's not supposed to be there, or ding, 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 our parasites. Do we have parasites? Or, the list keeps going. We could have mold, we could have heavy metals. All these things are going to come and mess up with our gut lining, and it's going to start creating a whole array of issues, starting with over time, your body not being able to produce hormones as it used to. And then you're going to start seeing your cycle being wonky, and you're going to start sweating through the night, and that's just because the body's so out of balance. Okay. So we kind of have to do a bit of a work back schedule here and be like, okay, like, let's just, again, I'm putting my detective cap on. Let's go on this ride. Why? Like, and it's an elimination kind of conversation. Okay. Do we have this? No. Do we have this? No. We keep going. And I know this is frustrating. And this is why healing, trust me, I wish there was a quick fix. I wish there was a quick pill. I wish there was one thing you could do that would fix it all. And that's why healing takes time. It just does. And that's because it took a while to get you there. So of course it's going to take a while to reverse everything that has been done. Are you a woman entrepreneur with a real service to offer to the world, or an ambitious woman ready to build an authentic business around you and how you can impact the world? Or maybe a woman solopreneur tired of running in circle like a mad woman only to get okay results. If that's you, then let me tell you about Biohacker, my high-level coaching program for women entrepreneurs that are ready to rise. Now, this is not your typical business coaching program. It is not your typical health coaching. It's a mix of spiritual, energetics, health, business, all the things. And it's so expensive. This is a very cutting edge coaching program designed over 12 months. And it's really there to support you with your big ambitions and help you put into the world to birth this new version of you with the support, the guidance, not only of myself, but also practical experts that are coming in the program to help you make sure that you are moving the needle. I also have this beautiful sisterhood, this beautiful community of women in there. It's so humbling to see the quality of the women in that program. I just love that space. Now, Biohacker was really carefully crafted to enhance not only your health, but also amplify your business, your brand impact, all to help you access limitless success. Now, this is really for you if you're ready to level up not only your lifestyle, your brand, your values, but also attract your ideal clients by understanding the power of energetics and what you are calling into the world. If you're ready to shed and really shed light on your money story, your leadership, step back into your power, figure out what is your style, what is your real energy, your spirituality, what is your voice, and how can we do this, and how can we rise in a way that your nervous system feels supported, feels regulated, so that you can tap into infinite success, because yes, my dear, that is your birthright. Now, if you're interested in hearing more about Biohacker, it's simple. The link is in the bio. You can also just DM me for more information. This is by application only. We're a small group of powerhouses that are willing to disrupt how we do business, we level up brands in this market. It's about feminine energetics. It's about learning to really honor our voice and our authentic power. If that's you, DM me for more information or book your appointment for an application. And I cannot wait to help you rise. Let's do this. So when it comes to our gut, we just have to start really paying attention. Like, am I bloated after every meal? Am I bloated after particular foods? Am I am I having daily bowel movements? How are they? Am I going from constipation to diarrhea? Am I always feeling unwell? Am I always feeling like, I always feel inflamed around my midsection? Am I always feeling like, just start paying attention to your body. Because if you are feeling these things, well, of course, your hormones are not going to be optimal. In fact, your body is not optimal. So of course, there's higher levels of inflammation running in your body. So instead of being mad at our body, instead of being mad at the system, and let's just take that responsibility and be like, geez, I've been ignoring this for a while. I think it's time I look at this, right? That's the attitude we need, because otherwise healing is going to be this excruciating journey. And instead, it can be this beautiful opportunity to actually reverse back our age, like literally, and the women entrepreneurs that I work with in my Biohacker coaching program, I do offer midway through a biological test, age test. And this is an opportunity for us to see, okay, is there anything that maybe we've been blindsided by? Is there anything that we need to be careful with? Is there anything that we need to make sure is on our radar? And it's such a great picture of what's actually going inside of the body. Now, I said there was a third thing, and I touched on it, and it's parasites. Now, parasites, I can't stress this enough. By the way, if you haven't listened to the episode I did on this, it was one of the earliest ones. It actually was the most listened episode I had in 2023. I think it's called Signs That You May Have Parasites. I'm going to try to find it and link it in the show notes. If you haven't listened to that, please go to this one next. So parasites will actually create symptoms that are very similar to perimenopause. It's mind-boggling, in fact. And so I kind of laugh when women come to me and they're like, yeah, I saw my doctor, and because I skipped a couple cycles, they told me I was in perimenopause, and that was it. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this label of perimenopause is just like, everybody gets told, oh, don't worry, you're in perimenopause, as if, there's nothing else to do. just know that you're in it and just wait for menopause to come. And the truth is, your hormones are so vital to your energy, to your vitality, to your lifespan, to the quality of your life. And so it just blows my mind that we're not like that the medical system is not just a little bit more curious about wanting to figure out, with each woman that comes to them, like, okay, geez, we should really try to figure out what is the root cause so you can get your hormones back for as long as possible and we can push this menopause out for as long as possible. That's really the ultimate goal. Now, parasites, I see okay, now I've had hmm, I don't know, like two handful of women probably now by now that told me when we started that they were in perimenopause, and by the time we were done, their cycles were completely back on track. So I'm not like, I don't think this is anecdotal at this point. And of course, my fellow practitioners are saying the same thing. So it's interesting. It's interesting that if you have symptoms like especially night sweats. And if you're noticing, you might not have noticed this, but if you start paying attention now to all of the symptoms we've talked about so far in today's episode, and you start paying attention to how these symptoms are around the full moon, do they get worse? Is your bloating worse? Are your night sweats worse? Are you are you so moody? Just pay attention to that. Because in so many cases, we do a parasite cleanse and then boom, everything is back on track. Hormones are slowly coming back in the body. Why would that be? Because parasites live in the gut and they feed off of all your micronutrients. So all the food. So let's say and I hear this often, like, why me? I eat so well and I take care of myself and I eat only organic. Like, why me? I do all the things and oh my gosh, I know. But sometimes there is someone else getting all the benefits. And in the case of parasites, they are literally attached to your gut lining. It's like they have an IV plugged into you. So if you're eating all these wonderful, let's say, green leaf vegetables and you're getting all these B vitamins through your food, well, guess who's taking advantage of it? Not you. You're having the leftover, if any. So sometimes we think our gut is okay and our lifestyle is okay, but there's something inside of us that's not supposed to be there that is wrecking everything. And I've seen parasites so often being the case. So parasites could 100% be a root cause of hormone imbalance. And so to me, this is how I look at it. I do liver detoxes every season. No question. This is non-negotiable in my lifestyle. I know too much now. I know the effect it has and how preventative and how it helps to just keep inflammation at bay. And it also gives me peace of mind. It's sort of my safety net. I don't have to be so anal about everything all the time. I know I have this coming and I know it's going to help to empty my rain barrel, even if my rain barrel got to increase more than usual, let's say in summer, or if I'm spoiling myself, I don't have to be so hard on myself. I know that this protocol is coming. So a liver detox every season, no question asked. The next thing is I do a parasite cleanse, it's not a walk in the park. It's 60 days, but listen, it's actually not that hard. You take supplements morning and night. And other than that, you want to be careful with processed food. You want to be careful with raw fish, actually avoiding raw fish and pork, only because there's so many parasites in those two things. You want to avoid, ideally, processed food and sugar, and you want to stick to a whole food diet. Really, it's what you should be eating anyways. So I always say, don't be scared about the diet, because it's actually how you should maintain your diet in the future. So if anything, it's a great way to force ourselves into this way of eating and then maintaining it. I have people who have been eating the way they've been eating on their parasite cleanse for years now, and they're so that's me. That's how I eat every single day. So So you do your Parasite Cleanse, and I now have committed to doing this once a year. I do it usually in winter, because winter, usually I'll travel somewhere tropical, and then I'll do that when I come back. Now, remember, you don't have to travel somewhere tropical to pick up parasites. It's just part of our human experience. We are human beings living in with Mother Nature. And so, of course, we're going to pick up parasites if we're just the least bit connected to nature, if we're just walking bare feet, if we're swimming in lakes, if we're eating, leafy greens and vegetables, and if we're going out to restaurants, we also are getting parasites. Like it's just part of the human experience. So we also have to stop thinking that it means that we did something wrong, or it means that we're weak or whatever. It has nothing to do with that. Um, you know, I treat people like 100% of the people I speak to. I'm like, we're just going to do this no matter what, because it's just part of the journey. And I know you're going to gain and you're going to benefit with this protocol. You're going to feel so good after. So Parasite Cleanse once a year, and that helps to keep also my hormones, balanced. Now, between that, sometimes I'll have months where, oh my gosh, like I have like more breast tenderness. I just feel more moody. And so when that happens, I usually really pay attention to stressors in my life, right? Because remember, the stress hormone is cortisol. And if we are needing more cortisol in a particular month, we are emptying our reserves of progesterone at the same time. Progesterone is the hormone that will, especially with breast tenderness, that's usually a good sign that we don't have enough progesterone. So I just really pay attention to my body, and I use it as my guide. Oh, okay, maybe I've pushed it too far this month, and then I'll rebalance. I'll double down on my self-care. I'll really try to, make sure I'm weaving in some mindfulness practices throughout my days. Because just like you, sometimes I get caught up, and then it's almost like I forget what I teach. And so I have to listen to my body and use my body as my daily reminder, daily confirmation of whether or not I'm on the right track. So here's the thing is it's not a straight line. It will evolve because your body is fluid. It's alive. It flows. It's not a straight line. And I'm saying this because a lot of women are expecting their body to be like that. We are cyclical by nature. And so if it's normal that maybe 1 month is going to not be great, and then the next month will be the first thing you know is you're going to have your period, and you had absolutely no symptoms. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, forget. Oh yeah, okay, this is happening, right? So it's normal to have fluctuation. It's normal if it's not always the same. And we have to stop expecting for our body to always be the same, because we're actually setting ourselves up for failure. Why? Because we are, again, a human having a human experience on this planet in this lifetime. So, of course, we're going to go through stressors. Of course, we're going to go through highs and lows. Of course, we're going to have months that are harder than others. And so, just actually giving ourselves permission to not always be the same, and for not our body to not always have the exact same output and the exact same symptoms, but instead just feeling super empowered that your body's giving you live feedback 24/7. And so when it's speaking to you, your only job is to actually pause and listen and pay attention, right? If we all did that, seriously, everything would be different. And we would be much more proactive. We would do a lot more preventative medicine as opposed to reactive medicine. So this is what I wanted to share today. And a quick note on bioidentical hormones. I'm not saying they're bad, not at all. I think there's 100% a time and a place for it. I just wished we did a little bit more of our due diligence and come and talk about our root cause. Because like I said, bioidentical hormones can also create more stress in the liver and can kind of plug everything up. And if we don't do a good job at reducing inflammation, reducing our rain barrel, emptying it, we're not going to feel good over time, right? And that's we hear so many conflicting data saying, oh, bioidentical hormone is causing cancer. No, it's actually preventative. There's so many things, but I think the bottom line is it can be very good for as long as you have a clean vessel. And for me, a vessel is your body. For as long as you have a clean body, for as long as you listen to it, for as long as you are connected into it intuitively, for as long as you're not expecting it to always be the same every single day, 24/7, for as long as you're giving yourself grace and compassion. Sometimes when you are going through more difficult times, it is a-okay. Remembering to trust your body, remembering that it will bounce back if you're giving it the tools, if you're giving it the attention and the love and the care that it is requiring, right? It's like we think like we got this body and it should be a robot serving us. That's not how it works. It's actually there to allow you to live this life at your fullest. But if you don't take good care of it, it's not going to serve you. It's actually just going to be a reflection of what you do. So, I like this is a bit harsh, but I know that if you're listening to this is where you're at. You're ready to hear this because you may have been running in circles and you may have been trying to find a quick fix also. And so there's no quick fix for hormones. We just have to start listening to our body. So I'm hoping that these 3 things brought some some awareness. I hope that now you understand that. And maybe I should say 4 things, right? We talked about liver health. We talked about your gut. We talked about parasites. And then we talked about also learning to give ourselves compassion and grace for the fact that our body is fluctuating. It's not always the same. And sometimes if we have a month that's not great, it doesn't mean the rest of our life is not going to be great, right? We can give ourselves the tools to actually bounce back. And that's by going back to the root cause. So if there's a woman in your life right now that is struggling with perimenopause, is not having a good time, is running in circles despite all her efforts, and perhaps she's completely discouraged because I know that's how we feel, and hopeless, please forward them this episode. If you think also that your community could benefit from hearing this, I always love when you share in your network on Instagram. Don't forget to tag me so I can reshare as well. And that way we share the love, we share this message that every woman needs to hear. And remember, you right now doing this work for you, healing your body, learning to give your body more trust and compassion is actually opening the way for our daughters who are also not learning this in school. So we have to take responsibility to have these conversations with them because it's a very overwhelming place out there. So back to basic is essentially the message here. So I'm also going to be linking, there's so many episodes I talked about today, but the Rain Barrel episode number 1, I'm also going to be linking the episode that I did with Jen Pike, who also is a friend of mine, a fantastic hormone expert. That was episode 36. And we actually talked about exactly this in different ways, but we talked also about the importance of, looking at your water intake, protein intake. We talked about supplementation. So that might be another great episode. So episode 36, which I'm going to be linking in the show notes. And I'm going to be linking as well the episode on parasites, which is, I just looked, it's episode 8. Signs you may have parasites. So those 3 episodes are a great complement to today's conversation. I hope that this was helpful. I actually received a lot of requests to do this episode. So I hope that it comes and really serves you. And as always, I always say it, I'm never going to say it enough, but if you have 30 seconds just to go on and leave a review, either on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, leave a 5-star review. Let me know why you enjoy this show so much week after week and what you gain from it so that more people can find it. This message is so important. And that's really my mission, is to help as many women as possible being able to have the energy that they want to achieve their big goals, because the more women are out there in the world, like achieving their big goals without hustling, without burning out, then the more we all win as a collective. So let's go. Let's all do this together. Thank you again so much for being here. And I can't wait to see you next Tuesday. Talk to you soon. The information shared on this podcast is for information purposes only and doesn't provide any medical advice. Vanessa Grutman does not cure, diagnose, or treat disease. Please consult your physician before trying any new protocol or product.